Have you ever wondered how something so familiar, so personal, might shift in meaning as you enter your 70s, 75, or even your 80s? Maybe you don't talk about it. Maybe no one brings it up during your doctor's visits. But the truth is, masturbation is still a natural, healthy, and meaningful part of life for many older men. What changes is not the need, but the body. And when we don't adjust our habits to match those changes, something that once felt harmless can quietly begin to affect our health, our mood, even our confidence. Growing older doesn't take away your need for intimacy. It simply invites you to move with more intention, slower, more thoughtfully, with a deeper awareness of your own body. Masturbation after 70 isn't something to be ashamed of. It's an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, support your health, and nurture your emotional well-being. But here's the challenge. Many men continue with the same habits they developed decades ago, not realizing those routines may no longer serve them, or worse, may actually be doing harm. From using too much pressure to relying on overstimulating content or ignoring warning signs in the body, small mistakes can add up over time, especially when they go unnoticed. And the most concerning part, no one's talking about it. These issues happen in silence, but not today. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 of the most common masturbation mistakes men over 70 make, and more importantly, how to adjust your approach in ways that are safer, more mindful, and more in tune with the man you are now. This isn't a scare tactic. It's an honest conversation meant to help you live longer, feel better, and reclaim intimacy on your own terms. If you're in this stage of life or want to take better care of your health in the years ahead, hit that subscribe button so you never miss thoughtful, age-appropriate content designed just for men like you. And before we dive into mistake number 1, I'd love to hear from you. Do you think self-pleasure still matters after 70? Just drop a number in the comments below. If you say yes, type 1. If you think not really, type 2. Your input helps shape this channel into a place of respect, honesty, and support for men who deserve real answers, not judgment. Mistake number 1, ignoring the body's new limits. As we age, many things change, and some of those changes happen quietly. You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel old. It's more like a slow shift, a little more stiffness in the joints, a little less energy in the mornings, perhaps a longer time to recover after activity. These changes are subtle, but they are real. And when it comes to self-pleasure, ignoring them can lead to discomfort, exhaustion, and even health risks that most men never see coming. Let's be honest. Most of us learned how to touch ourselves back when we were young, strong, and full of hormones. Back then, it might have been fast, intense, even rough, and the body bounced right back. But now, in your 70s or beyond, your body speaks a different language. And if you're still trying to follow the old script, you might be unintentionally putting your heart, your muscles, and even your urinary system under unnecessary strain. The hidden cost of doing it the old way. One of the most common issues doctors see in older men is fatigue or dizziness after masturbation. That might not seem like a big deal, just something that comes with age. But in truth, these symptoms can signal that your body is working too hard during what should be a gentle, relaxing experience. When you masturbate with the same intensity and speed you used decades ago, your heart rate can spike. Your blood pressure might rise sharply. If you already live with conditions like hypertension, arrhythmia, or diabetes, these sudden physical responses aren't just uncomfortable, they can be dangerous. But physical exhaustion is only part of the problem. Few men realize how much strain masturbation can place on the pelvic floor muscles. These are the deep muscles around your bladder, rectum, and reproductive organs. During climax, they contract rapidly. If they're overstimulated too often or too intensely, they can become tight, fatigued, or inflamed, which may lead to symptoms like urinary urgency or leakage, groin pain or a heavy feeling, increased trips to the bathroom at night, trouble starting or fully emptying the bladder. Most men don't connect these symptoms to how they're masturbating. They may even feel embarrassed to bring them up at all. But understanding this connection is the first step toward healing. A new kind of strength, gentleness. In our culture, masculinity has long been tied to performance. Fast, strong, and intense. But after 70, true strength looks different. It looks like awareness, like patience, like treating your body with the respect it's earned over a lifetime. What if, instead of rushing toward climax, you slowed down and explored what feels good now, in this stage of life? You might discover that pleasure doesn't disappear, it just deepens. Sensation can become more subtle, more emotional, more connected. It's not about friction anymore, it's about feeling. It's not about speed, it's about presence. This shift isn't just safer, it's also more fulfilling. Practical shifts to protect your health and enhance pleasure. If you've been experiencing any discomfort or fatigue after masturbation, or if you simply want to care for your aging body better, here are a few gentle, practical changes you can try. 1. Slow down the rhythm. Start slow. Let arousal build gradually instead of rushing toward climax. Think of it as a quiet conversation with your body, not a race. 2. Use a softer touch. What felt good at 30 might feel overwhelming at 75. Experiment with lighter pressure. Many men find that gentle, mindful touch actually leads to more pleasure, not less. 3. Pay attention to your breathing. Deep, steady breathing helps lower your heart rate and keeps your nervous system calm. Try inhaling deeply through your nose and exhaling slowly through your mouth throughout the experience. 4. Check your posture. Avoid hunching forward or tensing your abdomen. A relaxed, reclined position, lying down or in a supported chair, can help your body stay at ease and reduce tension on your pelvic floor. 5. Take breaks if needed. There's no rush. If you feel tightness, fatigue, or emotional overwhelm, pause. Let yourself rest. Then return if and when it feels right. 6. Be present, not performance-focused. You are not trying to prove anything. Let go of ideas about how long it should take or how strong your erection should be. You are not less of a man for going slow. In fact, the more present and respectful you are with yourself, the more complete the experience becomes. Listening to the body is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's easy to think, I've been doing this the same way for 50 years. Why change now? But the truth is, the body you have today isn't the body you had 30 years ago. That doesn't mean it's broken. It doesn't mean it's failing. It just means it's asking for something different. And when we listen, really listen, the rewards are often surprising. Greater comfort, deeper sensation, less shame, more ease. Your body is not your enemy. It's your lifelong companion. It has carried you through stress, through loss, through love and joy. It deserves care. It deserves compassion. This stage of life isn't about doing less. It's about doing differently, with more insight, with more heart. You're not just surviving these years, you're living them. And that includes honoring your sexuality, your pleasure, and your sense of self in new, healthier ways. So as you reflect on this first mistake, ignoring the body's new limits, ask yourself not, what did I used to do, but what feels right for me now? The answers won't come from a manual. They'll come from within, from listening, from experimenting, from trusting that slowing down doesn't mean you're losing something. It might mean you're finally gaining what was always there: deeper connection, truer pleasure, and a quieter kind of strength. Mistake number 2, using pornography that overstimulates the brain. There's a quiet shift happening in how we relate to pleasure, and it's one that many men don't even realize is affecting them. In today's digital world, pornography is more accessible, more intense, and more stimulating than at any other time in history. For younger men, that kind of fast-paced stimulation might seem harmless or even exciting. But for men in their 70s or older, the brain responds differently, and the consequences of overstimulation can run deeper than most people imagine, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. This mistake isn't about morality. It's not about shame. It's about understanding how aging changes the brain's relationship with pleasure, and why certain types of stimulation, while tempting, may actually be working against you. The brain's reward system. What changes with age? Every time we experience pleasure, whether it's from food, music, affection, or sexual arousal, our brain releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is what gives us that feeling of reward, satisfaction, even motivation. It's a beautiful part of being human. But the brain is also a creature of habit. When we stimulate it over and over again with intense artificial input, like explicit pornography, it starts to adapt. It becomes less sensitive to the same level of stimulation. This is known as dopamine desensitization. For a man in his 30s or 40s, the brain still has the elasticity to recover from frequent overuse, But in your 70s or beyond, the brain's reward system is more fragile. Hormone levels decline, neuroplasticity slows, and the more you rely on highly stimulating porn to feel aroused, the less pleasure you may feel in real life, from your partner, from touch, or even from conversation. The real-life effects: numbness, loneliness, and disconnection. Many older men find themselves caught in a silent loop. They turn to pornography because it offers quick relief. It's private, it's easy, and it doesn't ask for vulnerability. But over time, something subtle begins to shift. What once felt exciting now feels flat. Intimacy with a partner becomes less fulfilling. Conversations feel dull. Emotions become harder to access. Even memory and focus begin to suffer. And because this change is gradual, most men don't even notice it's happening until they realize that nothing seems to bring them joy the way it used to. Some report feeling more anxious or irritable afterward. Others describe a growing sense of emotional numbness or a lack of motivation to engage with real people, real touch, or real connection. The porn might still work on a physical level, but emotionally it starts to feel empty. This is not weakness. It's simply biology. The brain, like every other part of the body, has its own limits. And when it's overstimulated without rest or balance, pleasure turns into pressure. The hidden problem: content that doesn't reflect you. There's another layer to this that's rarely talked about, but deeply important. Most of the pornography available today is made for young viewers. It features younger bodies, unrealistic scenarios, and a pace that doesn't reflect the real experiences or desires of older adults. And that disconnect can quietly erode your sense of self-worth. When the images you see don't match your body, your needs, or your life, it's easy to start thinking, what's wrong with me? But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. The content simply wasn't made for where you are in life. Over time, watching material that feels disconnected from your reality can lead to self-doubt or insecurity about your body. These beliefs are not only false, they're harmful, and they make it harder to feel connected to yourself, your desires, and your ability to experience real satisfaction. So what's the alternative? Giving up pleasure is not the answer. Reclaiming it is. There are gentler, more age-appropriate ways to stimulate your imagination and connect with your body without overwhelming your brain or undermining your emotional health. Here are a few options to consider. 1. Erotic literature. Written stories allow your imagination to engage at your own pace. They can be sensual, romantic, or deeply emotional, often reflecting more realistic scenarios and emotional depth than visual porn. 2. Soft visual content. There are growing platforms that offer adult content made specifically for older viewers or those seeking more connection-focused material. These are slower, more intimate, and centered around mutual pleasure, not performance. 3. Imagination and memory. Don't underestimate the power of your own mind. Recalling meaningful moments from your past or allowing your imagination to wander gently can often be more satisfying than watching something external. 4. Audio erotica. Some men enjoy guided sensual audio or storytelling. This allows the mind to fill in the visuals while reducing the visual overstimulation that causes dopamine fatigue. These shifts may feel unfamiliar at first, but many men find that after just a short time away from high-intensity pornography, their natural sensitivity returns. They feel more present, more emotionally alive, and more capable of experiencing subtle but deeply satisfying pleasure. Reconnection over reaction. At its best, pleasure is not just about stimulation, it's about connection. Connection with your weapon, connection with your emotions, connection with your memories, your values, and your sense of being fully alive. When pornography becomes too intense, too frequent, or too disconnected from your stage of life, it stops being about connection. It becomes just reaction. And with reaction comes burnout, disconnection, and often sadness. But when you reclaim this part of your life with intention, with gentleness, you open the door to a kind of pleasure that doesn't fade quickly. It lingers, it nourishes, it strengthens your mind and spirit, not just your body. You are not giving anything up. You're choosing a richer, more sustainable experience of pleasure. You're choosing awareness over autopilot. You're choosing depth over distraction. Your brain, your heart, your body, they're all still capable of joy. But like any fine instrument, They play best when tuned with care. You don't need more intensity. You need more honesty, more alignment, more presence. Mistake number 3, not considering prostate health. There's a small gland in your body that rarely gets much attention until something goes wrong. It doesn't get mentioned in conversations with friends. It's not something you say or think about day to day. But after the age of 70, your prostate becomes one of the most important players in your overall health, especially your sexual health. And yet, many older men continue with their sexual routines, including masturbation, without realizing how these habits may be quietly affecting their prostate. Sometimes it starts with discomfort. Other times it's interrupted sleep, or maybe a feeling of pressure, urgency, or incomplete release. Often these symptoms are brushed off as just getting older, but there's more to it than that. Ignoring the health of your prostate or continuing sexual habits that irritate it can lead to a chain of issues, both physical and emotional. But when approached with care and knowledge, masturbation can actually support prostate health as long as it's done in a way that respects the changes your body has gone through. Understanding the prostate. After 70, the prostate is a walnut-sized gland located just below the bladder, surrounding part of the urethra, the tube that carries urine and semen out of the body. It plays a key role in reproductive function, producing seminal fluid that nourishes and protects sperm. As men age, the prostate naturally grows larger, a condition called benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH. It's not cancer. It's not inherently dangerous. But it does create pressure on your bladder, your urethra, and your pelvic nerves. And that pressure leads to familiar symptoms. Urgency to urinate even right after you've gone. Difficulty starting the urine stream. Weak or interrupted flow. Waking multiple times at night to urinate. A lingering sensation of incomplete emptying. You might notice some of these already, or maybe they're just beginning. What's often overlooked is how certain sexual behaviors, including rushed, forceful, or frequent masturbation, can irritate the already sensitive prostate region and make these symptoms worse. When routine becomes risk, many older men hold on to beliefs about sexual performance that were formed decades ago. They think, holding an ejaculation makes me stronger. The faster I finish, the better. I need to prove I still can. But the truth is, the body now needs something different. Repeatedly delaying ejaculation, applying excessive pressure during stimulation, or pushing through the experience without full arousal can all create unnecessary tension in the pelvic region. Over time, this can lead to chronic pelvic discomfort or pain, heightened inflammation, longer recovery time after sexual release, aggravation of BPH symptoms. In rare cases, difficulty detecting more serious prostate issues due to masking symptoms. And it's not just about physical pressure. Stress and emotional tension also play a role. When masturbation becomes performance-driven or filled with anxiety, the muscles around the prostate tighten. That tension can increase inflammation and reduce blood flow, both of which the prostate desperately needs to stay healthy. Reimagining self-pleasure as prostate care. The good news? You don't have to give up pleasure. In fact, gentle, mindful masturbation can help keep the prostate healthy. How? Through improved circulation to the pelvic region, regular release of built-up seminal fluid, reduction of congestion in the glands, release of natural endorphins that relax pelvic muscles. But the key word here is gentle. This isn't the time to push, strain, or test your limits. It's the time to listen, relax, and honor the signals your body is giving you. Practical shifts to support prostate health during self-pleasure. Here are a few intentional changes that can reduce strain on your prostate and enhance your overall well-being. 1. Let arousal build naturally. Don't rush the process. Allow your body to warm up slowly. Engaging your senses through touch, breath, imagination, or soft audio can help you feel ready without pressure. 2. Avoid holding back ejaculation. There's a myth that saving it up makes you stronger. In reality, repeatedly stopping or delaying ejaculation can cause tension and reduce circulation. Let release happen when it naturally arrives. 3. Use minimal pressure. Be mindful of how much pressure you apply, especially near the base of the penis or perineum, the area between the genitals and the anus. Too much can irritate nerves and press on the prostate. 4. Don't masturbate as a way to fix discomfort. If you feel pressure, pain, or urinary symptoms, don't assume that masturbation will relieve it. That may work temporarily, but if the root cause is inflammation, you could be making things worse. Watch for warning signs. Pay attention to pain before, during, or after ejaculation, blood and semen or urine, changes in the color or texture of fluid, increased pelvic tension afterward. These are signs worth discussing with your doctor, not to alarm you, but to stay proactive. Your prostate deserves the same respect as your heart. Most men know to take care of their heart as they age. They adjust their diet, they walk more, they monitor blood pressure, but the prostate is just as important and just as vulnerable. The choices you make now can shape how well it supports you in the years to come. That includes getting regular checkups, talking honestly with your doctor about urinary or sexual changes, approaching sexual activity as a form of wellness, not performance. You've lived through decades of change, challenge, and triumph. Your body has been your companion through all of it. This next chapter isn't about what you can still do. It's about how you choose to care for yourself now, wisely, kindly, and without apology. The prostate may be small, but its impact on your life is not. And when you take care of it, not by fear, but by attention, you reclaim a part of yourself that's been asking to be seen, understood, and supported. Mistake number 4, masturbating out of loneliness or stress instead of connection. There's a quiet ache that many men carry as they grow older. It's not physical, it's not visible, but it's there in the silence of an empty room, in the pause after a phone call ends, in the memory of someone who used to be there but no longer is. That ache is loneliness. And for many men in their 70s, 80s, and beyond, especially those living alone, widowed, or disconnected from regular social contact, that loneliness can seep into even the most private corners of life. Sometimes masturbation becomes a way to cope with that ache, not out of desire, not out of curiosity, but out of something else entirely, the need to feel something, the need to escape a feeling, the hope that for just a few minutes, the emptiness might feel less sharp. And that's where this mistake begins, not in the act itself, but in the reason behind it. When comfort becomes substitution, self-pleasure is a deeply personal and perfectly natural act, even later in life. There is no shame in honoring your body, connecting with sensation, or tending to your own needs. But when masturbation becomes a replacement for emotional connection, rather than an expression of it, it slowly starts to lose its power to nourish. Instead of leaving you feeling relaxed or renewed, it can leave you feeling emptier. Instead of bringing peace, it can stir a quiet sadness afterward. You may even begin to notice a mechanical feeling in the act, a lack of emotional satisfaction, a sense of guilt or frustration afterward, increased emotional numbness or irritability. What's happening isn't that masturbation has gone wrong, it's that it's being used to fill a void it was never meant to fill. Emotional hunger cannot be fed through physical habit. For generations, many men were taught to suppress their feelings, to push down sadness, to stay strong. But emotional needs don't disappear just because they're ignored. They find other ways to show up, sometimes through sleep issues, mood swings, or habits we don't even realize are compensating for something deeper. Loneliness is not a weakness. Missing touch, missing companionship, missing conversation, that doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. But using self-pleasure to mask those emotions, that can quietly build a wall between you and the very things your heart is truly craving: connection, presence, and meaning. Why this pattern is easy to miss? You may not even realize it's happening. The day feels long, you're bored, you're anxious, and so you turn to something familiar, a habit, a rhythm, a small release. But afterward, instead of feeling better, you feel flat, maybe even a little more alone than before. That's the sign. That's the moment worth pausing and asking, am I doing this because I feel good or because I don't want to feel something else? This one question can become a gateway to emotional clarity. Not judgment, not shame, just awareness. Because once you name the feeling behind the habit, you can start choosing what you really need, replacing the habit with real connection. It's important to say you don't have to stop masturbating, but you can redefine the context in which you do it. Here's how to shift away from emotional avoidance and towards something more nourishing. 1. Pause and check in with yourself. Before engaging, take a moment to ask, what am I feeling right now? If the answer is boredom, sadness, stress, or loneliness, pause. Not to deny yourself pleasure, but to explore what your heart really needs in that moment. 2. Have an emotional first aid list. Create a short list of things you can turn to when you're feeling emotionally off balance. Call a friend or family member. Sit outside and breathe for 10 minutes. Write in a journal. Listen to music that moves you. Read a favorite poem or passage. Revisit an old hobby or try something creative. These things may not solve loneliness entirely, but they can soothe it in a more lasting way than a quick release. 3. Reframe self-pleasure as emotional intimacy. When you do choose to engage in self-pleasure, treat it as an act of self-kindness, not escape. Create a calming environment. Use touch that's slow, aware, and free of pressure. Connect with yourself not to get away from something, but to return home to your body with peace. 4. Build gentle social connections. Loneliness doesn't mean you need a romantic partner. Sometimes just light social interaction can change your entire day. Join a walking group or local class. Volunteer once a week. Attend community events. Start simple conversations at the coffee shop or grocery store. Human connection can be small and still be powerful. You deserve more than escape. You deserve presence. There's a myth that grows louder with age, that older men don't need emotional connection anymore. That as we age, we should just get used to being alone. But you're still you. You still feel, you still long, you still matter. Masturbation is not the enemy, it's a mirror. And if that mirror is showing you sadness, loneliness, or old grief, it's okay to look. It's okay to feel. It's okay to want more. You've spent a lifetime taking care of others, showing up, staying strong. This season of life is an invitation to take care of yourself, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Because in the end, pleasure is not a substitute for love. It's a reflection of it. And you deserve a relationship with yourself that feels like something added to a full life, not something that's compensating for what's missing. So next time the urge arises, ask not just, do I want to? But also, what am I really reaching for? The answer might surprise you, and it might lead you towards something even more fulfilling than the habit you've always known. Mistake number 5, ignoring erectile dysfunction or performance anxiety. There are few topics more quietly painful for older men than this one. It's not often talked about, and when it is, it's often met with jokes, discomfort, or silence. But beneath the surface of that silence is something very real, something deeply human, the fear that you are no longer enough. As men grow older, changes in sexual function are not only common, they are expected. Erections may take longer to appear. They may not be as firm, or they may come and go without warning. This doesn't mean something is wrong. It means you are aging, and aging, when met with understanding, can be graceful. But far too often, these changes are met with shame, pressure, and self-judgment. And that's where this final mistake begins. When self-pleasure becomes a test instead of a gift, many older men begin to use masturbation as a quiet test. Can I still get hard? How long will it last? Will I lose it again before I finish? Does this mean I'm failing? These thoughts creep in slowly. They can turn what should be a peaceful, affirming moment of self-connection into something tense, clinical, and full of fear. You may find yourself focusing more on performance than sensation, judging every reaction of your body, rushing or forcing climax just to prove you still can, feeling anxious or disappointed afterward. This pressure doesn't just stay in your mind, it shows up in your body too. When you feel anxiety during sexual activity, your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol directly interferes with arousal. The more you worry about performance, the harder it becomes to relax. And the harder it is to relax, the more likely you are to experience exactly what you feared: difficulty maintaining an erection. It's a loop, one that tightens the more you resist it. Erectile dysfunction is not a verdict on your manhood. Let's be clear, erectile dysfunction is not a flaw. It's not a failure. It's a biological response to aging, circulation changes, medication, hormones, stress, and countless other natural factors. But the emotional weight many men attach to it, that's what causes suffering. Some feel ashamed to talk to a doctor. Others feel disconnected from their body, their partner, or even their sense of identity. They may avoid intimacy altogether, not because they've lost desire, but because they fear disappointment. And many turn to masturbation only to test themselves, which deepens the anxiety instead of healing it. But here's a gentle truth worth holding on to. Sexual function is not the same as sexual worth. Your ability to feel, to give and receive touch, to enjoy your body, that is still fully alive, even if it looks different than it once did. Reclaiming self-pleasure as self-compassion. Instead of using masturbation as a diagnostic tool, what if it became a practice of kindness? Instead of, am I still able? Ask, how does my body want to be cared for today? This shift in mindset changes everything. When you release the pressure to perform, anxiety fades, presence increases, pleasure deepens, confidence slowly returns. You stop fighting your body, you start listening to it. And in that listening, something beautiful happens. You reconnect. Gentle practices to support confidence and reduce performance anxiety. If you've been silently struggling with sexual changes, here are some ways to approach self-pleasure that reduce stress and build trust with your body. 1. Shift from goal to experience. Let go of the idea that climax or erection is the goal. Instead, focus on the sensations in your skin, your breath, your chest, your hands. Explore what feels comforting, grounding, or even just interesting. 2. Include non-erotic touch. Sometimes just placing your hand over your heart or massaging your thighs or stomach gently can reconnect you to your body in a non-pressured way. This calms the nervous system and builds body trust. 3. Use breath to stay present. When anxious thoughts creep in, it's not working. This is taking too long. Gently bring your focus back to your breath. Inhale slowly, exhale fully. Stay with the moment, not the outcome. 4. Explore new forms of arousal. As testosterone lowers and nerves become less sensitive, the way arousal builds may shift. What used to work might not anymore, and that's okay. Try different kinds of touch, stimulation, or timing. Discover what your current body enjoys most. 5. When needed, talk to a doctor without shame. There are real, helpful treatments for erectile dysfunction that don't involve shame or surgery. Even a basic checkup can rule out underlying conditions or medication side effects. This conversation is not about fixing you, it's about supporting you. Your worth is not defined by performance. As men, many of us were raised with unspoken rules. You have to be strong. You have to be in control. You always have to be ready. But none of those rules were designed for a man in his 70s or 80s or beyond. They weren't designed for you. Because the man you are today doesn't need to prove anything. You've lived, you've loved, you've suffered, you've survived. Your presence matters more than your performance ever will. Whether your erection is firm, soft, fleeting, or absent, your ability to feel joy, connection, tenderness, and warmth is still completely intact. And when you stop measuring your worth by how your body responds, your body often begins to respond more freely. Not because you forced it, but because you finally let go of the need to control it. So here's a quiet invitation. Let self-pleasure be something you return to, not to test your body, but to thank it. Not to push it, but to be with it. Not to prove who you are, but to remember what it feels like to be truly home in your own skin. Final message, sexual wisdom after 70. There comes a point in life when the questions we ask ourselves begin to change. We stop asking, how much can I do? And start asking what truly matters now. For many men over 70, that question leads inward, into the heart, into the body, into moments of quiet reflection. And yes, sometimes even into the realm of sexuality. Because contrary to what society might suggest, sexuality doesn't expire with age. It transforms, it deepens. It becomes less about performance and more about presence, less about urgency and more about understanding. It becomes a conversation with yourself, not a competition with your past. You've spent decades being strong for others, providing, protecting, pushing through. Now this season invites you to be something else. Gentle, patient, curious, compassionate with yourself. Whether you've made any of the 5 mistakes we've talked about today, or all of them, it doesn't matter. There is no shame here, only awareness. And with awareness comes the power to choose differently. Because you are still allowed to feel, you are still allowed to touch, you are still allowed to be whole, and you are still allowed to experience pleasure. Not to prove anything, but to remember who you are. This isn't about reclaiming your youth. This is about honoring the man you have become. The man who knows that real intimacy doesn't begin in the body. In the body, it begins with listening to your breath, to your heart, to the quiet messages your body has been whispering all along. So let this be your reminder. You are not less of a man because you've slowed down. You may in fact be more of one because now you move with wisdom. The path forward isn't about pushing harder. It's about living softer. And in that softness, you may just find a kind of satisfaction you've never known before. One rooted in truth, not tension, in connection, not comparison. If this message resonated with you, I'm glad you're here. You are not alone. You are part of a generation that's learning to age with grace and to love yourself at every stage of the journey. Now take a deep breath and carry that wisdom with you, not just in your mind, but in your body, in your choices, in the way you speak to yourself. This isn't the end, it's a beginning of a new kind of intimacy, one that belongs entirely to you.